Well, hello there. Welcome to the channel. My name is James, and here at 20th and 21st Movies, we are about all things cinema. Doing something a little bit different this morning. I had actually planned to record this review via OBS Studio, and I ran into some technical difficulties. For some reason, I do this continuity camera where OBS Studio on my MacBook can access the camera on my iPhone 14 Pro Max and use that nice camera on my iPhone when I'm not using my Sony a7 IV camera. I sometimes use my iPhone to record videos. So I had the thought in my mind that I was going to record this review for Blast of Silence on OBS Studio, but technology has to keep us on our toes sometimes, and it just doesn't always cooperate. So what I'm doing is I just said, you know what? I'm just going to go live on YouTube, get my thoughts out there. I'm actually running a little bit late on getting my thoughts out on this release, Blast of Silence from the Criterion Collection. So I just want to come on here and share with you my thoughts on this film noir film from 1961 from director Alan Barron that is not new to the Criterion Collection. Actually, this release from the Criterion Collection is a Blu-ray upgrade of spine number 428 in the collection. So this is a title that currently exists in the collection. It had been out on Blu-ray for a number of, on DVD for a number of years, I think over a decade. And it's now got a new Blu-ray release in the Criterion Collection. And I just want to take a few minutes to share my thoughts with you on it and just tell you how much I enjoyed this film. I love film noir. I love classic films from the 40s, the 50s, the 60s. This is a 1961 film. It also takes place in New York. So you have that film noir aesthetic going on. It's in New York. It's about a criminal, a hitman, who is hired to take on a job in New York City. Now, he's a hitman from Cleveland. He makes a trip from Cleveland to New York City to do a hit that he's hired to do. So it's a really fascinating film. It's directed by Alan Barron. Alan Barron plays the title or plays the character who is the hitman in this film. And it's a very fascinating noir film that I think if you are a fan of noir films, this is one to definitely consider checking out. It's also December. We're a few weeks away from Christmas, just under 2 weeks away. And I cannot believe it's that time of the year. It's the most wonderful time of the year. And this film takes place during the week of Christmas. So Christmas serves as a bit of a backdrop with the decorations and the music in the background, sort of juxtaposed with this very, very interesting hitman story and seeing how, his how he absorbs his surroundings. Of course, it's the holiday season. He isn't exactly in the most festive of moods. He's not much into the holidays, but it's really interesting seeing that holiday backdrop, that Christmas backdrop with the decorations in New York City, the tree in Rockefeller Plaza, and just all the festive spirit. When you go inside to the interiors of the interiors of people's apartments and homes, you see their decorations and you know that this is taking place during Christmas time, but Christmas serves as more of a backdrop to the criminal goings on of this film. So let me take a moment to read the back of the case. It says, Blast of Silence, a film by Alan Barron, who is still with us. Alan Barron, I believe, is 96 years old. So bless his heart, still with us. And says, swift, brutal, and black-hearted Alan Barron's New York City noir Blast of Silence is a sensational surprise. And it absolutely was for me. I love film noir. I love films like Double Indemnity, Sunset Boulevard. I love that aesthetic of film. And so this is another entry in that aesthetic. This low-budget, carefully crafted portrait of a hitman on assignment in Manhattan during Christmas time follows a stripped-down narrative with mechanical precision, yet also with an eye and ear for the oddball details of urban living and the imposing beauty of the city. At once visually ragged and artfully composed, and featuring rough poetic narration performed by Lionel Stander and written by Waldo Salt, both uncredited, Blast of Silence is a stylish triumph. It absolutely is. And I really enjoyed this film, and I enjoyed going through the special features, which I highly recommend that if you pick this title up in a future sale, which would be my recommendation, to pick this up on sale, not be like me picking it up when it's only 30% off on Amazon. Pick it up on a 50% off sale. But when you do, I definitely recommend checking out these special features because these special features are really good. They do feature director Alan Barron, and you see him going back to the locations of this film, and you see the film the locations at the time the film was made in the film, and then you see the film locations today. You see that contrast and see how a lot has changed, but a lot remains the same. And you really get an appreciation for Alan Barron in the past and in the future. And he gives a lot of nice perspective going through those special features. There's a special feature on here called Requiem for a Killer, the making of Blast of Silence. You have some rare on-set Polaroids, photos of locations from the film in 2008. And I just love the fact that it features the director, Alan Barron, going to these locations, sharing his perspective, sharing what he was thinking about as he was shooting these scenes. It's really rewarding to just watch those features just to get the director's perspective. This new Blu-ray edition is director approved by Alan Barron. So that's good to know. It's based on a new 4K digital restoration. It's presented in 2 aspect ratios. So if you're able to see up here, I'm not sure if you can actually make this out or not. I'll do a little camera adjustment. You'll see that there is a 1:85 to 1 widescreen and a 1.33 to 1 full frame, which is, nice to have those options if you want to, see the film in different aspect ratios. I watched it in the 1.85 to 1 ratio. So really good movie. So let me just talk a little bit about the film. It says, I just have my notes here. So, Blast of Silence was directed by Alan Barron, and it basically immerses us in the gritty underworld of New York City during Christmas week. You follow this character named Frankie Bono, who is a hitman, and he has, of course, the director, Alan Barron, excuse me, okay. I need to send my wife a text. Let me see if I can actually do this multitasking here. Let me see if this will work. All right. See, that's the world. That's the world that we live in. So anyway, I'm just reading my notes here. So he plays hitman Frankie Bono, and he's from Cleveland. Of course, the director, Alan Barron, has a background in graphic arts and television, and that influenced the visual style of this film. So you'll see that inside here, there's like, with that graphic arts background, there's this comic book little insert in here, which is really cool. This film is heavily influenced by like comic strip, style storytelling. And that definitely shows through in the film. And you actually get a little comic strip included in this package. So that's one of the inserts, along with your typical insert that includes the essay. So I think that's a very, very nice touch. And I'll talk about the essay in just a moment. But the film itself is it's in black and white cinematography, and the camera, work is very dynamic, which really helps to envelop you in the atmosphere of the narrative, which I really, really like. Of course, Christmas time is a big backdrop in this film. So you have that noir element going on, this hitman, element, but also the Christmas time. And it's a really nice, pairing, especially this time of year, seeing a film like this. So you see the festive decorations sort of against the grim, shadowy world of this film noir, adds sort of a layer of irony and contrast that I think is something to appreciate. Comic strips heavily influenced this film. Of course, he has a background in graphics arts. And it's very evident that he drew inspiration from that background, from those comic strips, because the film has a visual style that's reminiscent of that sequential art form, the sequential comic strip art form. So you have the blend of the noir aesthetics and comic strip influences, and it really sets Blast of Silence apart from a lot of other noir films. So every noir film is unique in its own way, and part of what makes Blast of Silence unique is the use of that comic strip style. The music really sets the atmosphere of this film. It's fantastic, just beautifully atmospheric music and a soundtrack, and it really sets the tone for the suspenseful backdrop of this journey that Frankie Bono is on. So just absolutely beautiful. Of course, Alan Barron is not exactly a household name. Of course, I had not even heard of him until this release of Blast of Silence, but he is definitely a fantastic filmmaker. And he crafted this film in such a beautiful way that transcends the noir genre and the conventional tropes that you see in noir films. He actually portrayed the lead character of Frank Bono. So this is Alan Barron here playing the character of Frankie Bono, and just adds a lot of depth to the character and a nuanced perspective of what does it mean to be a hitman? Like, I've never been a hitman. I don't know too many hitmen, so it's really interesting to see that. I see we have one of my favorite people in the entirety of the internet is out there. Early this morning, crazy like me, is Dell from Dell on Movies. Good morning. Wasn't expecting anyone to be live when I turned on YouTube this early. Hope you're doing well, Dell. Thank you for joining. Yeah, I'm kind of improvising this morning because I had planned to record my review of Blast of Silence on OBS Studio, and for technical reasons wasn't able to do it. So I said, you know what? I'll just pop on YouTube live and just put my thoughts out there about this film. I really enjoy this film. It's a fantastic noir. If you like noir films, definitely consider Blast of Silence. It has a unique atmosphere. It's influenced by that comic strip style. It's from a director that many of you may not have even heard of, but he is really good in this, and the supporting cast is really good. And the special features on here feature the director Alan Barron, really giving some nice context to how this film was made and the locations that were used and just his whole filmmaking process. It's definitely something to appreciate. So I definitely enjoyed this release. This is spine number 428 in the collection. So it originally came out on DVD from Criterion and has now gotten a Blu-ray upgrade in December 2023. So for the upcoming flash sale coming up in perhaps February or March, or a future Barnes & Noble sale, I highly recommend Blast of Silence. So Dell says, I am almost worried that you haven't slept since the Georgia game last week. Yeah, Dell, I figured Georgia had to lose eventually, right? I just hate that they lost that game against Nick Saban. But hey, you can't win them all, and Georgia will be back next year. Can guarantee you that. And I was actually telling a friend of mine that it's kind of nice to sort of take a little bit of a break from Georgia football. Like this weekend, I'm just focused on my movies and other things. And, we'll pick up Georgia football at another time. But yeah, they had a great run these last few years. 2 national championships, won 29 straight games, epic run, 3 undefeated regular seasons in a row. So what more can a Georgia fan ask for? So I'm happy about that at least. But yeah, this is a fantastic movie, has a unique style, and I can definitely recommend it. If you look on the inside, of course, you get 2 inserts. The Blu-ray goes here, but of course it's in the player. But this first insert is this nice comic strip that you get included in here, which I think is so cool, which gives you a sense of the style of this movie, right? This movie basically opens up with the hitman Frankie Barron being born. So it shows sort of his arc over the course of his life. Of course, it takes place during Christmas week in a particular year, but it has a really nice bookend to the beginning and the end. And I won't spoil the end, of course, but it's a beautifully poetic film that definitely keeps you thinking long after it's over. We also have, we have Dell again. Haven't seen this film, but I'm intrigued. Yeah, if you like noir films, definitely consider it. Nice insert. There's a nice essay in here called Bad Trip from Terrence Rafferty, which is very good, which talks about this particular film and its place in film noir history. So a very nice insert that's included here. And, I think the cast is quite good. You have the 2 main characters, Frankie Bono, who is the hitman, is played by Alan Barron, who is also the director. Laurie, who is sort of that love interest, so to speak, is played by Molly McCarthy. So, she's really good in this. And then you have, the other sort of supporting characters, Big Ralph, played by Larry Tucker, Troiano, played by Peter H. Clune. Very nice supporting cast. But this is a nice insert with a nice essay that gives some good historical perspective on film noir and Blast of Silence's place in it. So I really, really think that is worth checking out. So a pretty decent package. Again, I would recommend this title 100%, but I would definitely recommend picking it up on a 50% off sale, whether it's a flash sale coming up in February, March, perhaps on Criterion site, maybe, and then a future Barnes & Noble sale or future Amazon sale. But definitely comes highly, highly recommended if you like film noir. So again, I think from a picture quality standpoint, this is a black and white film with a new 4K digital restoration, and it looks very, very nice. I think it's a nice high definition presentation of a black and white film. Not sure what 4K would do for this particular film. It probably would elevate it a little bit, but as it stands, I think this looks very nice on Blu-ray. This originally came out on DVD from Criterion. I don't have that old DVD edition, but I can imagine that with this being a new 4K digital restoration, that I think it's not a stretch to think that if this is a DVD that came out over a decade ago, maybe around 2010, you're getting a new 4K restoration, of this film. Let me check to see real quick if it's from the original camera negative. So Blast of Silence is presented in 2 aspect ratios. And these new digital masters were created from a 4K scan of the 35mm original camera negative and mastered in 4K resolution for the HD presentation on this Blu-ray. So yeah, so that's a little bit of the technical aspects of it. Came from the original camera negative, which we always like to see coming from the OCN, getting as best a source as is possible usually. So that's what they used in this case, and the results are very nice. This looks very nice on Blu-ray. Don't know how it compared to the DVD, but I can only imagine it has to be a pretty nice upgrade over a DVD that came out a dozen years ago or so. So very nice presentation. As far as the audio, it's an uncompressed Monroe soundtrack. Dialogue is very dominant in this film noir, with the narration and of course the characters speaking, and all the dialogue comes across very well, very cleanly. So I was very pleased with that. So from an AV standpoint, this is a nice Blu-ray edition. Now, I think if you already have this on DVD from Criterion, I can't absolutely say it's worth an upgrade, but I can say that if you absolutely love this film and this is one of your favorite films, then it probably is worthy of an upgrade from that old DVD edition. Of course, in my case, I didn't have the DVD, so it was easy to go ahead and get this Blu-ray. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Blast of Silence. I'm sort of doing this in a different format than I expected. I'm actually about to pop on in just a few minutes and knock out my review of Barbarella here on Arrow 4K. Just getting caught up on some reviews that I had expected to get out this week, but life happened, so from a timing standpoint was not able to. So just getting my thoughts out there in the ether or the stratosphere or the universe through other means. So like to experiment with different techniques. So this is what I'm doing today. So what is Dell saying? See, got to head out the door, but it was a nice surprise to see you this morning. Enjoy the rest of your day. Dell, you enjoy your Saturday and enjoy your weekend as well. And thank you for joining. And for those of you who are catching this on the replay, hope you enjoyed this review. Again, Blast of Silence comes recommended from the Criterion Collection if you like noir films. This is a film from director Alan Barron, and it definitely comes highly recommended. Pick it up on a future 50% off sale. With that, hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll look to see you next time at the movies. Peace. Have a great Saturday.